Making the headlines tonight. Political and social analysts, observers have said that Cambodia can benefit greatly from co-chairing the ASEAN-US Special Summit. The National Assembly has approved a draft law amendment of the Article 140 of the Law of the Administration of Capital Provinces, Municipalities, Districts and Communes, increase the Board of Governors of the municipalities, districts, communes, provinces and capitals with 106 out of 106 votes. President Volodymyr Zelensky paid a tribute to the country's first independent leader, Leonid Kovalchuk, who died on Tuesday. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. My name is Anthony Ellis. Political and social analysts, observers have said that Cambodia can benefit greatly from co-chairing the ASEAN-US Special Summit. The main benefits related to the country's image of international stage, the enhancement of good relations with the United States, and the potential boost of the Cambodian-US economy. EAC News reported that Shana Guchin has more details.
Cambodia assumed the ASEAN chairmanship in 2022 with much work to be done both regionally and internationally. Prime Minister Hun Sen left Cambodia for the United States on Tuesday, which he described as an important duty he must fulfill for the nation. Political analyst M. Sovanara told EAC News that Cambodia can get various benefits from co-chairing the summit, such as seeing a boost in the economy along with the United States and a strengthening of security in the ASEAN region, but he underlined that this is only if Cambodia continues to stand for the theme of ASEAN integration. He said, "If Cambodia continues on the theme that ASEAN set at the beginning of the year, we can do it. I think Cambodia has benefited a lot from diplomatic relations as well as trade relations because U.S. diplomacy has many alliances with Europe and trade is bigger. Cambodia has benefited more from the United States than from China." The ASEAN-US Special Summit of 2022 is the first face-to-face meeting between U.S. and ASEAN leaders since 2017 and will take place on 12th to 13th May. There will not be any bilateral meetings between U.S. leaders and ASEAN members or the ASEAN chair, as confirmed by the minister attached to the Prime Minister Srey Thamrong on Tuesday morning. He said, "Obviously, that's why the President of the United States held a dinner party just like a meeting. Maybe they do not want to make others jealous. Therefore, we say that when we meet on the occasion of a dinner, there is an opportunity to meet everyone one by one. As we see the ASEAN Summit program, the leader of one country meets the leaders of other countries one by one, so the opportunity for ASEAN leaders to meet with President Joe Biden is not wide because there are not many attending the dinner between Prime Minister Hun Sen and President Joe Biden, one-on-one during dinner with a person to note. So the leadership of the United States and ASEAN have the time to talk freely." Social analyst Dr. Singh Sari believes that the ASEAN-US Special Summit is an important opportunity, especially for Cambodia, as the chair of ASEAN and as a country that the United States sees in a very negative way, as this can be an opportunity for the countries to discuss and raise understanding with each other, build more cooperation, and increase good relations between the royal government of Cambodia and the government of the United States once more. He said, "If Cambodia is clever enough, they can take the problem of the misunderstanding between Cambodia and the United States. I think that Cambodia can solve the problem or can show some evidence, especially in the case where the United States has accused Cambodia of having a Chinese military base in the country. I can evaluate that this meeting is a special opportunity for Cambodia, as the chair of ASEAN and as a country that the United States sees in a very negative way. So it is an opportunity for us to hold a forum for dialogue on mutual understanding, which is an additional collaboration and engagement strategy in the continued work between the royal government of Cambodia and the government of the United States." Prime Minister Hun Sen arrived in Washington, D.C. in the United States at around 5:10 p.m. local time on 10th May, which is 6:10 a.m. on 11th May in Cambodia. The Prime Minister's special plane, along with his Cambodian delegation, landed at Joint Base Andrews International Airport with many high-ranking U.S. and Cambodian diplomats, including Ambassador Keo Chia, welcoming the Prime Minister's arrival. Cambodians from the United States and Canada who support the Prime Minister also came to greet him directly at his residence in Washington. according to the Prime Minister's planned program. Besides attending the ASEAN-US Special Summit on 12th to 13th May, Prime Minister Hun Sen, as the chair of ASEAN and the co-chair of the ASEAN-US Special Summit, will also hold bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Vietnam, Pham Minh Chinh, and other ASEAN-US leaders. Additionally, he will meet with about 1,000 Cambodians living in the United States in person. Darshana Gauchen, EAC News.
The National Assembly has approved a draft of law of amendment of Article 140 of the Law of the Administration of Capital, Provinces, Municipalities, Districts and Communes, increase the Board of Governors, Municipalities, Districts, Communes, Provinces and Capitals with 106 out of 106 votes. National Assembly spokesman Leng Penglong told EAC News that after receiving National Assembly approval, the law will be sent to the Senate to be passed by the Constitutional Council before then being submitted to the King for his signature. He added that there is at least 1 month left before this law can be put into use. The amendment to this law will increase the number of members of the Board of Governors to cities, districts and communes from 5 to 7, and the increase of number of members of the Provincial Board to Governors from 7 to 11, while the number of members in the Capital Board and Governors will be increased to 11. The Executive Director of the Social Accountability Association, Sun Che, has said that the increase in number of members in the Provincial and Capital Board of Governors should consider the needs of those provinces or capitals. He has added this increase is not really important. He has urged the increase of number of commune council members as the communes are the local authorities closest to the public. He said since the work is transferred to the subnational administration, shifting the work from the capital to the provincial level and below. What the public notices is that this increases security, the need of administration and skills in the commune. Because of the commune is closest to the people, if the commune administration works well, it is a good thing for the people. But we will see the current commune administration does not seem to be fully qualified. We see that even the development of some commune infrastructure is still lacking. The draft amendment was approved by the Council of Ministries of the morning of 1st of April 2022 under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister Hun Sen. According to the government spokesman, Phay Siphan said this draft law increased members in the Board of Governors in response of decentralisation and the deconcentration reforms at the sub-national level, where the government has shifted the work providing public services and local development. After this law passes through the National Assembly and is promulgated by the King, a number of members of the Board of Governors in each capital, province, municipality, district and commune will be studied and reviewed. Providing his closing remarks at the dissemination and the implementation of the National Program for the Sub-National Diplomatic Development Phase 2, 2021 to 2030 on 21 of March 2022, Prime Minister Hun Sen stated the development of human resources at the subnational level is important to Cambodia's success and development of migrating risks. He said, while the local level has been given more responsibility, we see that it is still lacking in resource, so we need to amend the limiting the number of responsibility people in the framework of provincial and district governors. At present in 25 cities and provinces of Cambodia, and there are a total of 175 governors, with each provincial capital having 7 board governors, while 204 municipalities, there are 1,020 board of district governors, with each district having 5 governors. The National Assembly has elected former Governor Phnom Penh Kepchatemma as a new chairman of the National Assembly's Commission on Interior, National Defence and Civil Service Administration with 106 out of 106 votes from the National Assembly. EAC News reporter Decca Nin has the details.
According to the press release on the results of the 7th session of the National Assembly of the 6th Legislature on Wednesday, 11th of May, 2022, the National Assembly has elected Mr. Kepchatemma as a member of the Commission on Interior, National Defence and Civil Service Administration to replace the late Hun Neng, who passed away. After being elected as a member of the Commission, the 4th Special Committee of the National Assembly, the Commission on Interior, National Defence and Civil Service Administration also elected Kepchatemma as the Commission's new chairman to replace the former chairman of the Expert Committee, Hun Neng, who died from a heart attack on the 5th of May. NEFEC Executive Director Som Kutimi said there was no problem in electing National Assembly members to replace those who had died or resigned, but asked those in their new positions to follow the rules and greet and visit the public directly. 72-year-old Kapjitema was the governor of Phnom Penh for 10 years from 2003 until 2013 and is now a member of parliament for the Cambodia's People Party in Phnom Penh. Additionally, the National Assembly this morning also decided to validate the mandate of Sleh Punyamin, a member of parliament for Kampong Cham province, who will replace the late Hon Neng, while Kem Chankiri was elected by the National Assembly as a member of the Committee on Public Works, Transport, Telecommunications, Post, Industry, Mines and Energy, Trade, Land Management, Urban Planning and Construction of the National Assembly. Dekanin EAC News.
The price of fuel Cambodia has reached 5,500 riel or $1.14 per litre for regular gasoline and 5,800 riel or $1.45 for diesel from the 11th to the 20th of May 2022. According to an announcement on the retail price of fuel gas stations, the price of gasoline has increased 300 riel and the price of diesel has increased by 200 riel. Previously, Minister of Commerce spokesman Seng Tai told EAC News that the price of gasoline in Cambodia fluctuates depends on the international price of the oil, which is mostly based on the average price in the Singaporean market. This means that if the price of oil rises in Singapore, gasoline prices will rise in Cambodia accordingly. Cambodia has reported no new COVID-19 cases in the local community for the fourth day straight. There have been no patient recoveries and also no new deaths. The kingdom has now recorded 15,821 cases of Omicron, 1,362 imported and 14,459 community cases. Cambodia's COVID-19 case tally remains at 136,262. The death toll stands at 3,056. The number of patients tested successfully since the pandemic reached Cambodia is 133,184, and the tally for imported cases remains at 21,219.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
An Al Jazeera reporter was killed by Israeli army gunfire in the occupied West Bank on Wednesday 11th of May. The Qatar-based news channel said, while the military said that maybe have been shot by Palestinians as they clashed in its troops.
One Palestinian official said Shireen Abu Akleh had been assassinated by Israeli forces while reporting on a raid in the city of Jenin, which has seen intensified army raids in recent weeks as violence has surged. The Palestinian Health Ministry confirmed Abu Akleh's death and said a second reporter, Ali Samodi, had been wounded. In a statement, the military said its troops had shot back after coming under massive fire in Jenin, and that there is a possibility now being looked into that reporters were hit, possibly by shots fired by Palestinian gunmen. What happened was we were waiting for our colleagues to enter the refugee camp at the point where the Israeli army was present. We chose a point that did not have any confrontations between the youth and the militants. We got to a point where we waited for Shireen to put on all her safety gear. She then reached us and we moved a few meters. We exposed ourselves to the army and the passers-by that we were press TV. We arrived and within seconds there was the first shot. I told them that we were being targeted, we are being shot at. I turned and found Shireen on the ground. I found Shata shielding herself by a tree and screaming. I turned and found Shireen on the ground in the first few seconds with the shooting, and we were telling each other we were being shot at. The shooting continued for more than 3 minutes on the teams that were there. Ali was injured. He was able to cross the street and get to a point of safety, and the shooting continued. I took refuge under a staircase in the cement factory, and the shooting continued. Shata, the shooting was targeting. The last person that the sniper saw was taking refuge under a tree, our colleague Shata Hane She. The shooting towards her continued while she was standing under the tree, and we could not provide first aid to Shireen. The youth came to us. The ones that were in the street who were trying to pull Shireen out were also shot at. Whenever anyone moved forward, they were shot at. Mujahed al-Sadi, journalist and eyewitness, has said.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky paid tribute to the country's first independent leader, Leonid Chekovak, who died on Tuesday, 10th of May, of age of 88. Kravchuk was a former communist who helped sign the Soviet Union's death warrants and then served as the first president of independent Ukraine. He wasn't just a politician and even not just a historic figure. He was the kind of man who could find wise words and say them so all Ukrainians could hear them, said Zelensky. The Ukrainian president confirmed his country's forces have successfully launched a counter-offensive that is pushing Russian troops out of the region of Kharkiv. The counterattack could sign a new phase in the war, with Ukraine now going on the offense after weeks with Russia mounted a massive assault without making a breakthrough. The armed forces of our state have provided good news from the Kharkiv region to all of us. The occupiers are gradually being pushed out of Kharkiv. I am grateful to all our defenders who are holding the line and showing truly superhuman strength to drive out the army invaders, once the second strongest army in the world, said Zelensky. Volunteers collected bodies of dead Russian soldiers found in the village of Kharkiv region taken by Ukraine forces on May the 8th.
Still photographs show the bodies being placed in body bags in the village of Vilkivka, a day before Ukraine said its forces have recaptured villages from Russian troops north and northeast of Kharkiv, praising a counteroffensive that could signal a shift in the war's momentum and jeopardize Russia's main advance. In Stariv, Saltiv, some 40 kilometers away, Ukrainian troops were inspecting a destroyed Russian main battle tank T-90M Prorif on Monday. On Tuesday, Ukrainian servicemen were photographed patrolling an area in an undisclosed location in Kharkiv region. The counterattack near Kharkiv could indicate a new phase, with Ukraine now going on the offensive after weeks in which Russia mounted a massive assault without making a breakthrough. By pushing back Russian forces who had occupied the outskirts of Kharkiv since the start of the invasion, the Ukrainians are moving into the striking distance of the resupply lines, sustaining the main Russian attack force further south.
Let's have a look at today's finance. The CSX index is currently 503.59 points, up 0.09 points or 0.02%. The daily exchange rate is 4,058 real to the US dollar. Now let's see what else is happening around finance around the world. SP 500, Nasdaq and up, but investors cautious before inflation data. The SP 500 and Nasdaq ended up higher on Tuesday, 10th of May, with a big growth share rising after the previous day's sell-off on Treasury yields eased. At the same time, bank shares fell. The yield on the benchmark 10-year note tumbled from more than 3-year high to below 3%. The day's trading was choppy with major indexes moving between gains and losses, and investors were also nervous ahead of the release on Wednesday's US Consumer Price Index data and Thursday's Producer Price data. Investors will be looking for signs for inflation is peaking. I think the CPI tomorrow is important in the sense that it's going to give us an idea if inflation is actually starting to come down, and if it is, there could be a huge catalyst and positive for the market prices to start going up again because inflation is going down, wages are staying up. That's a great combination for the market, said Ryan Payne, president of the Payne Capital Management in New York. The SP 500 gained 9.76 points or 0.24% to end 400,000 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 114,000.423 points or 0.98% to 1100,736.761. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 84.96 points or 0.26% to 32,160.74. Asian shares edge up higher new 2-year lows as US inflation data looms. Asian shares edge up a near 2-year lows as US inflation's data looms. Asian shares squeezed higher on Wednesday from a close to a 2-year lows hit in the previous season while the dollar held steady, ahead of the needily awaited US inflation data that will offer a guide to how aggressively the Federation Reserve will raise rates. The MSCIS Broadcast Index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan rose 0.8%, having fallen to the lowest since July 2020, the day before Japan's Nikkei gained 0.3%. European markets also were set to open higher with the Euro Stoxx 50 futures up 0.7%, Nasdaq futures added 0.8%, and the SP 500 futures gained 0.4%. Chinese blue chips led Asia's gains, rising 2%, held by Shanghai's officials saying half the city had achieved zero COVID status, and the US President Joe Biden saying he was considering eliminating Trump-era tariffs on China as a way to lower prices for goods in the United States. Bitcoin was trading around 31,700, having staged a small recovery after falling below 30,000 on Tuesday for the first time since July 2021. Oil bounced back from declines the previous day as markets tried to balance concerns that China's zero COVID policy will impact demand and that the proposed European Union ban on Russia oil will hit supplies. US crude rose 2.36% to $102.08 a barrel, having fallen below $100 on Tuesday for the first time since this month. Brent rose 2.34% to $104.85 a barrel. Spot gold is steady at $1,838.7 an ounce. That's the latest news of finance. Tune in tomorrow for more. Now let's have a look at the weather and what you can expect for tomorrow. And finally, Portugal built Europe's largest floating solar park, 12,000 solar panels the size of 4 soccer pitches floating on a Cliva reservoir.
Built by the country's main utility, EDP, the project is part of Portugal's plan to cut reliance on imported fossil fuels. The panels on the Alcava reservoir will produce 7.5 gigawatts or hours of electricity a year, with lithium batteries to store 2 gigawatt an hours. They will supply 1,500 families, about a third of the power needs of the nearby towns of Mora and Portel. Miguel Patena, EDP group director in charge of the project, said that the cost of electricity of these types of projects is less than one-third 1/3 or 25% of the cost of fuel fired in power plants nowadays. Solar panels mounted on lakes or at sea have been installed in a range of places from California to China. Floating panels do not require valuable real estate, and those on reservoirs used for hydropower are particularly cost-effective as they can hook up to existing links to the power grid. Excess power generated on sunny days can also pump water into the lake to be stored for use on cloudy days or at night. In 2017, EDP installed a pilot floating solar project on the Alto Rabagao hydro dam. It was the first in Europe to test how hydro and solar power could complement each other. This will reduce the dependency of carbon fuels and reduce the prices of the pool markets.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check our website eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Smart TV, Telegram or your favourite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.